episode of Beat and Verse. How y'all brothers doing today?
Doing good.
Well?
Yeah.
Doing good.
Cool. I know it's been a while since we taped, but a lot of topics have been coming up, and because we, as usual, we don't want to overrun an episode. I want to probably tackle a topic today. Let me know if y'all are good with it. It's a hot topic that's been buzzing for a minute. But before we get into that, what's on your mind?
Not much. I mean, a lot of stuff happening in the world today. So definitely with hip hop, between the violence and then the anti-Semitism, but supposed anti-Semitism
right.
in hip hop. So there's a lot of things happening in the world right now.
Got you.
Nick Cannon, I'll reserve my judgment, but his apology and, I looked at the interview with Rabbi Abraham Cooper and Nick Cannon. Very interesting interview. I think Nick Cannon should have had someone from the Israelite community there.
Right.
And when I mean the Israelite community, I mean people that are going to sit down, leaders that are going to sit down and have a intellectual dialogue.
Right.
With Rabbi Abraham Cooper about some of the things that Mr. Cannon put out there. But that's a topic for another day.
Definitely.
And that's what's on my mind. Benjamin made me look at the interview, although he didn't look at it yet. But I looked at almost almost 2 hours of it.
Oh, so you don't watch the whole thing then?
Oh, wow.
There's only 2 parts.
The first one is 4 hours.
No, the first part is like an hour and
I saw 4
something
hours.
minutes. Nah, you looked wrong.
Oh, wow.
Hour and 19 minutes or something like that.
That's
almost
a long
30-something minutes.
It's a long interview, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one topic we definitely wanted to cover, we're probably going to cover this week, but some other things came up we probably want to get into. It's hip hop and homicide. Seeing that, whoa. Yeah, it's raining out there, storming out there. That's why you hear that noise. Megan Thee Stallion got shot. And supposedly Tory Lanez was the one that did it. The reason why it's just on my mind is that, even in the best situations, them coming from a party with a Kardashian party or something like that, they said, there's still a lot of immaturity with guns. You know what I mean? Like, she got shot in the foot. Some people said by a process of elimination, he was the only person that did it. He has to come out and confess. I don't know if he got locked up for it or anything of that nature as of yet.
Not for the shooting, just for the concealed weapon.
Concealed weapon for the gun. But, and maybe it's a thing where nobody's going to say anything and press charges, what have you.
Nobody's cooperating, so the police can only get him for the weapon, but nobody's cooperating. Everybody in the vehicle is keeping quiet in terms of what took place in the vehicle, so the police can't really go too much further than that.
Yeah. So, and I know this is not his first, issue, right? Supposedly. So,
Perhaps maybe it was playing with guns. Not playing, but sometimes you've heard of people sometimes mistakenly or just don't know how to handle a weapon and shoot people accidentally.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying.
That I don't know.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It seems there's still some level of immaturity there. Whether he deliberately shot or was an accident,
Right.
I think it has to come to a point where we become more responsible. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a weapon, right? My whole thing is just the responsibility of dealing with it. That's not something that you touch when you're drunk and, and you're high and you're coming from a party and things, Like, there's just, it's real. Those things kill people. They hurt people. And, if you feel that you're always in a point where you need one, you should learn. I mean, I don't know whether he goes and takes classes and goes to the range and learn gun safety, but I think there should be a point, because I remember Plaxico Barris when it shot itself with a handgun. That was years ago, but it was just people they just have guns and they don't know the responsibility that comes with those guns. So I think that this needs to be a turning point. So, but that's what's on my mind.
What part of the country is he from?
He's not from the country. He's from Canada.
Oh, he's from Canada.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know Canadians
He's
are
walking
not.
around with a gun in the United States.
Yeah. So I think he has dual citizenship, but
Oh, okay. So if he has dual citizenship, what part of the country does he have his dual citizenship?
don't know. I don't know what state he's in.
Because people, only reason why I'm asking, because people that tend to be from the South tend to know,
The rules.
the rules
Right.
of weapons, and because they around them more, and it's some states are open carry states, and you could carry concealed weapons, and they've been used to shooting weapons from when they was young, so they understand. I mean, not saying that they don't use it irresponsibly or they're responsible with it, but they handle it a little bit better, and they're used to carrying weapons.
Right.
So maybe whatever state he come from, he was raised up in, maybe he was used to carrying a weapon.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's
Because he's from Canada, I believe Toronto.
Toronto. Yeah.
That's why him. It's a whole different story. But him and Drake had beef for a while. Both of them from
Yeah.
Toronto. I mean, they've been squashed that, but that's one of the things. But yeah, they both from Toronto, but because of his career, he's here a lot.
Right.
Right.
And it's not like a country where it's born in the U.S., so he could always just come over easily without any hassle, as opposed to like somebody from another country need visas and
Right.
all the other stuff. So he could just come here and just hang out.
Got
basically,
you.
and just
But
go
if he
back.
doesn't have dual citizenship, he's deported.
Right.
Well, it's Canada, so it's still because of that friendliness. I mean, technically, yeah, you could get deported, but because of that friendliness between the U.S. and Canada, things can be
arranged.
Yeah, it's a little bit different
Right.
with Canada and the U.S.
But this incident did happen in California.
California, yeah.
Right. So
Mm.
that's what it is. So to the topic. Did I know you got a chance to see the Will and Jada Red Table Talk. Did you get a chance to look at that?
I didn't watch the full video. I've seen.
You seen enough.
I've seen the major part of the video.
Gotcha.
The major.
I couldn't stand to sit there and watch him
I saw the major part of the video.
turn into powder.
Well, let me say this in Will's.
Did you watch it?
I saw the whole thing.
So you talk to us.
I saw the whole thing, and I saw every meme,
That was made off.
made off of it, every Jamaican voiceover,
And the Haitian one.
the Haitian. I saw them all, and you know what?
You see my meme that I put up?
Yes, I saw the Menace to Society meme as well. And those are the ones that has been coming out like this week, the Menace to Society ones. And it's funny that happened during that, when Menace to Society was 94, 93?
93.
93.
About 93, yeah.
And that this is happening now. But I wanted to get, you guys' take on, because I don't want to make this, because oftentimes they make this a gender thing, and it's not about gender. I think it's about marital responsibility, and the fact that Will is a hip hop icon,
Right.
and Essence Jada is too. She may not be an MC, but she's been friends with
Hip-hop
Tupac. She's been part of the culture, what have you. Their kids, part of the culture. Is there an issue or a perceived issue with how a lot of people, celebrities especially, are managing their families and managing their relationships? Or do they think that way of managing their relationships is somewhat, what's the word I'm looking for? Is it sustainable? Is that pattern of behavior sustainable because I think a lot of times when people are in your marriage, this is my personal opinion, your marriage can't last because you have too many other influences in your relationship. But sometimes people think that tends to be okay, inviting everybody over, and this is going on. So, referring to the person, the outside, I don't want to say an agitator because it wasn't, I don't think it was agitation in my opinion.
Right.
August Alsina was brought in some way, shape, or form in a relationship with Jada, but how it went down didn't seem to, in my opinion, based on what I saw, it didn't seem to sit too well with Will. Right? Whatever happened,
Right.
whether he said yes to it prior and then he reneged later on,
Right.
you can obviously see everybody that analyzed it, every psychologist, psychiatrist that looked at it, saw the obvious tensions in that talk. So just in y'all's opinion, do you think that behavior is safe? Like for them to really want to have a marriage, is that safe behavior?
Well, they don't. Well, it's been speculated for years that they've had a open
Right.
marriage.
Right.
That's
Never came out and said it.
Right, they
but
never said it, but it's been.
That's the word of the street.
Right,
Speculation.
everybody knew that they have open marriage.
Right.
And basically, off of this situation, what they're saying is that at the time they were split.
Right.
Anyway, so that's why they had no intention of getting back together at that point.
Right.
But this particular incident took place. But then they have this other thing that I think this was part of this video. Oh yes, it was part of that video where they said that they're life partners.
Right.
So they don't look at themselves, they're legally married, of course, but they don't look at themselves as married. They just look at themselves as life partners.
Right.
To where either side can do whatever they want to,
Right.
but they won't get so upset to break off.
Right.
They just understand at their term that they understand they have a bad marriage,
Right.
but they're just willing to stay together just for the sake of staying together.
Please go. Yes. Say something.
I think morally it's just off.
Right.
You have your son's friend who he brought to the house.
Right.
I mean, you have to take all those things into consideration because he was the son's friend, from what I understand. So now you think about your mother smashing your friend,
yeah.
your boy that you brought home. Now that goes to another level,
Right.
right? It's people don't, they don't want to talk about, they want to talk about it was a split, whatever. It was her son's friend,
Right.
and she went ahead and did that, and but he's a young dude. So
Right.
what do you think a young dude is gonna do? And they say he has psychological problems, so he was going through something. No excuses. It's immoral, and she was being selfish. Now I don't know what they have in their marriage. I'm not going to speculate. People did say that they had like an open marriage and they could do what they want to do, but that's just on the point that was your son's friend. You should have had enough discretion as to not take a step that way. It was just totally wrong in my opinion. Besides all the other stuff, because of course I look at things differently, but living in this world, people look at things another way.
Right.
But just on that point, I would say that one of the many violations, and I'll leave it at that.
So I don't even want to touch the morality issue, but I find it weird that people do these things believing that it's sustainable, like there's a way that we can make this work with having all of this stuff going on, right? And it doesn't work. I'm not saying that all marriages are perfect. I'm not saying monogamy's perfect, polygyny's perfect, polygamy's perfect, or open marriages. I'm not saying any of that stuff is perfect. But obviously there's something wrong with the picture. If this is happening, and I just saw Will hurt. It seemed like his eyes was red, and he was trying to push the envelope with trying to get her to confess
Right.
about what happened. And I did some research on August Alsina, and he had a rough go. He went through a lot of stuff. He was going through a lot of stuff. You can tell psychologically why he was off, because he was still dealing with a lot of him not dealing with his mother. He has a bad relationship with his mother. His father got killed, brother got killed, sister-in-law got killed, and he's going through a lot of ailments. Like he went blind at one time. He had to deal with a whole bunch of stuff. And I think
at one point he was homeless at one point.
Homeless.
Yeah. Before he became famous.
Yeah, and all of that stuff is affecting him psychologically, right? And the industry is not the best. Let me say, not even the best. It's not good at dealing with people's humanity, right? Dealing with the average thing that goes on in a person's life. And from what he's saying, he's looking at them as, he needed help. They were there to give him help. And from what Jada is initially saying, and Jada and Willie, they were willing to help him, right? But to get in a relationship with a person that's in that level of struggle is not good for them mentally, right? It's not good for them, because now they're in an emotional situation, and then they're being cut off from that emotional situation. And let's be honest, I don't think as a family they may be the best people suited to work with him in that capacity, because look what happened, right? She got into what she described as an entanglement. And, the word entanglement has a root word, tangle. Tangle is an unwanted knot, right? You can't call it an entanglement because it was something that you chose to do. You went inside of it fully knowing that this is where I am, this is what I want. And, you didn't trip over this and wind up being in a relationship. It's something that you as a grown woman decided to do. And I think that is where the lines get drawn with people, is that, she got the right to do that, whatever the case may be. But she doesn't have the right to take advantage of anybody. That's wrong. She doesn't to have the right to hurt people's feelings in the process, because I think oftentimes we're not considering that there's other people in play. Her family's in play. There's other things. I mean, maybe a family's good with it, maybe a family wasn't, but you have to take all of that in consideration. And what I did find, a lot of people, I heard a lot of the people that did an analysis of it, according to the body language, according to just psychologists that looked at it, even Charlamagne the God, she came across very narcissistic, because she was concerned. She said something to the nature of, I haven't felt good in so long, right? But what about everybody else? What about the brother that you're messing with that psychologically needs, some professional help? What about your husband? What about your family? Like, you really see the premises on her. She even started off saying that because some people's feelings are hurt. This is like the reason why she's doing this. I'm like, what? You saying some? You talking about your life partner? Like his feelings don't matter. And maybe he did things that hurt her. Maybe that's part of the nature of what's going on, is that, they have a lot of mess happening with them. You know what I mean? And this is what people are analyzing. And part of the discussion is all of this something that we need to grow out of? The basketball wives, the Atlanta housewives, all of this. You know what I mean? All of this messy stuff that we see. Is it the best training of our minds towards us trying to get back to the idea of marriage? Because everybody can do what they want to do, but if you want a family that's sustainable, I'm not saying that you can't have all the crazy stuff that you want to have. This America, you can do what you want to do. But if you want a family that's sustainable, right, that y'all can be together, build wealth, build a empire, are those means the best route? I mean, are we looking at that as something that we can, you know, use as a template or an example? Because the fact that they said at the end, you know, bad marriage for life, that wasn't cute. That wasn't cool. Like, you know, the essence is to fix what's going wrong. And to me, it's just my humble opinion, you know, y'all are sitting there in failure. Like, you know, your marriage is failing, but it's okay. You know what I mean? Then why be together? Is it about divorce? Is it about the check? Is it about, like, what is it about? What's the real deal? You know? Just my opinion, but what are your guys' take on that whole process, though?
I mean, coupling it with everything that you already mentioned on the shows and on TV, it's definitely not. These are not good examples for our people to be watching, looking up to these people,
right? And
seeing, like we said, all the mess, you know, bad relationships, bad marriages, etc. You know, it's definitely not good. Celebrities can maintain that because. You know, they go into a field where you have to cut off your feelings to a lot of things because you're dealing with sharks on various levels, socially, financially. So as a celebrity, as an entertainer, you know, you sort of cut your feelings off anyway. And then you have the means financially to move from one situation to another one anyway. But the average person watching those relationships don't have those means because they get emotionally attached to relationships and they don't have the finance to just say, well, I can just pick up and go somewhere else. So those, like you said, those templates are not good for people that cannot sustain that type of lifestyle. But overall, they're not morally good anyway. But a celebrity or entertainer could sort of maneuver better than the average person that doesn't have the means.
Question to both of you: do you think that just because it seems like I doubt it's just a trend with them? You know, we're looking at them, but obviously there's a lot of things going on. Is it that Hollywood or the industries, the music industry, the acting industry, are these places that can sustain marriage? Or, you know, if you're in here as a celebrity, can you really feel that you can have a wife or have a husband and build a positive relationship there without all of the mess?
I think when the two people are mega celebrities, I think it's almost like it's failure. It's almost like failure written in it.
Interesting.
But if you have a person that's the celebrity and the other person that's not the celebrity, I think those tend to last a little bit longer.
Gotcha.
Now you do have some marriages that last, you know, a long time. I know John Travolta's wife just died.
Right.
They were married for like 20-something years.
Plus some time, right.
I believe, what's his name? Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn.
They're
not married.
Yeah, but
they got. I think they have children.
Right.
They might have a daughter or something like that. But they've been a couple for. We'll consider that a marriage. Right. They're together. You know? So there are some success stories, but I think that when you are like. When Ben Affleck, not Ben Affleck, what's the guy's name? And Angelina Jolie, Brad Pitt and Angelina. You know, you seen it just going, and you know, and then it got to be too much, and then everything came out, and they broke up. So, because they were two big mega stars, I think that always puts something in there, and then you are way. And some Sandro Page shooting a movie, your wife is over there with the leading man, and she's working with him every day, and you know, like it's almost doomed for failure. You know, your husband is over here it's almost doomed for failure. It's like then you shooting these scenes, and
interesting.
You know. That's my take on that. I think that a lot of those marriages a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them are doomed for failure. It's hard to sustain sustain a lifestyle like that and still be. And then if someone doesn't understand the business that you're going to be gone for most of the year, then that could turn into being something also totally different.
Interesting. So there's another side I want to take to it, because Hollywood is Hollywood, but then you have Black Hollywood, right? And you know, sometimes culture, and especially in hip hop culture, there's a lot of misogyny. There's a lot of sexual exploitation. There's men that exploit the women, and more so the women that exploit themselves. And then you hear sometimes women say derogatory, negative things about the guys, but it's never like it is in reverse. I mean, the responsibility of being what we call sexual freedom, and then after those experiences, you want to turn around and try to do something wholesome. Is it practical, right? Is it practical to, oh, I'm gonna live a lifestyle while I'm wilding out, I'm having orgies, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, but then I'm gonna come down to earth and get a wife and try to start a family, you know? And I'm not saying it's not. I think sometimes people they mature out of certain things. They understand, okay, I did that in my life and I want to just try to do better. But then there's people that don't, and they do, like, they revert back to certain ways, or instead of now, I instead of me doing that on my own, now I'm doing it with my wife. I'm involving my wife with that. I remember watching an interview with Jaden, I believe his name is, the rap artist, the brother that's the Classic Man. Yeah. Oh. And he talked about, I think he was on the Breakfast Club, and he was talking about how he was in some type of plural.
That's the redhead dude?
Yeah. He was in some type of plural relationship. Wasn't a marriage, but it was an open thing where he was with a woman that was allowed to have other boyfriends or whatever. How they had their relationship, but they arranged their relationship, you know. And I think, you know, he said he's against the polygamy because him being, you know, I think his father is Igbo or Yoruba or whatever. I think it's Igbo. Polygyny. Father, I think his father, his grandfather had more than one wife, whatever the case may be. You know, there was something he observed that it seemed that it wasn't working or whatever, or it wasn't something that made them happy. But then he talked about that, and I think it got to a point where he just said, like, he tried it, but there's still some issues with him doing that and still feeling away if she's going to see the other guy. You know what I mean? But it's stuff that you agree to. So I don't know. There's people that they have this conversation about monogamy, and is monogamy in our blood, or is it right to have a man to have multiple wives? But at the same time, all of these things that people are trying, they don't seem to work either, right? So is there a grounding? Should there be something that for us to understand who we are first before we get into any relationship, and especially before you get into the industry? Because it seems that, you know, a lot of people say it. I'm just going to repeat it. The industries, especially the music industry and Hollywood, they turn you out. Right? They turn you out. They turn you into something that's a little bit different. And this is not to take away from what you want to do, but is it sustainable? Right? Is it sustainable for your psychologically? Is it sustainable for you emotionally? Right? Because there's a lot of stuff going on with people doing drugs, and, you know, how relationships go sour. Can you maintain your sanity in all of that chaos? To me, I don't think you could, but